Okay, so check this out. Brother Black Box. He's one of our precious members and subscribers here at Micaiah Messenger. And he and I have been tag teaming a little bit on this chart. He's the one making the chart though, so he's pulling the lion's share there. But we've been going back and forth on this and kind of expanding on his charts. He says many charts. He's a man of many charts, as you've seen in other videos. So tiny screen here. So the temple was destroyed 69 AD, right? And you had like 3 periods of 490 years that took you to the Jaffa Gate being rebuilt by Mr. Suleimani, okay? That was in 1539 AD, okay? So that's your 1470 years, the initial 1470 years. But before that, there was another 1470 years, and that's what we're looking. Okay, so 1470 years. Check this out. So from when the temple, from when they entered the Promised Land to the temple being destroyed in 69 AD was also 1470 years. Can you believe that? So from 1401 BC, you're like, no, I don't believe it. You better prove it. Okay, fine, I will. Be that way. Okay, so 1401. Israel enters the Promised Land, right? That's when Mr. Aaron, the priest, which is kind of symbolic, he goes up on the mountain and he dies. If you think about it, the spirituality died in a way. You know, it was kind of like a spiritual death because he was their spiritual leader, the priest. But he goes and dies, and they enter the Promised Land, okay? And basically they clean up the Promised Land. Well, let me show you where I'm getting some of that because that's a high claim, brother. So 3 times 490. So we're talking about these Super Shemitah periods, right? The 49 years, that's like 7 times 7. And then 490 years is the 70 times 7, right? We're going through a 70 times 7 right now. We're waiting for this last 70th week, the 70 times 7. That's what Jesus says. That's how many times you forgive your brother, 70 times 7. And then judgment comes. Boom, right? So that's what Jesus was saying to Peter there when he says, how often should I forgive my brother? 70 times 7. He was talking about the 70 weeks of Daniel, and that there's been 69 weeks before the Messiah the Prince, which is what we're at right now, and then we have that 70th week that we're going to be going into, okay? So this has been going on throughout history. This is what I'm getting at, is that since they entered the Promised Land, they've been counting this, and maybe even before that, but definitely before when they entered the Promised Land, and they, God set up the laws with Moses and everything, and the whole Jubilees and the cycles and everything that's supposed to follow. They've like hit it on the mark. And so why that's important? Because God's going to hit the mark this year. That's why. He doesn't just like hit the mark every time except for the end of days and then go, oh, well, I guess I missed it that time. No, he's got to hit the mark, right? He's got to hit the mark. He hits the mark every time. So he's hitting the mark here. Enter the Promised Land, 1401. Then 3 Super Shmitas later, 3 70 times 70s later, is the temple is destroyed. And then if you go to the other chart that I had open there, then from that point, because that's where it starts, when the temple's destroyed, you got 3 more Super Shmitas to when the Jaffa Gate gets done. And then you have another Super Shemitah, which is the one we're in right now. Wow, which is 7, guys. 7 Super Shmitas. Are you catching that? 7 Super Shmitas. Just hit me. So we had 3, then we had 3, and now we're in the 7th Super Shemitah right now. So it's not just 70 times 7. It's 7 times 70 times 7, I guess. It's 7 Super Shmitas. Okay, so anyway, 7 Super Shmitas. Do you understand what's being laid down? It has to be done. It must be done this year. Okay, I know you want a little evidence for that. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Sion and Heshbon falls. They enter the Promised Land. 1401, Heshvan 10 of 1401. From Friday, October 31st to Heshvan 10 of 1401. Okay, this isn't the only one I found. It's just one of them. Okay, but 1401. All right, so check this out. The 49th year of the first cycle was Nisan 1402 to Nisan 1401, and the first Jubilee, or 50th year, was Tishri 10 of 1402. Okay, so to 1401, to Tishri 10 of 1401. So that's the first Jubilee, guys. The first Jubilee was 1401. That's when they entered the Promised Land, and that's when they had their first Jubilee. Guys, this is amazing. This is so significant, because that means there were 3 Super Shmitas, Super Jubilees, that took them to the destruction of the second temple after Christ, and then we have 3 more that took us to the Jaffa Gate, and then we have 1 more, the 7th Super Shmita, that takes us to right now. Shmita. The 7th Super Shmita, not 7th Shmita, and not 7th Jubilee. We're talking the 7th Super Shmita, meaning 7 periods of 490 years, and this is it. We're in the last one right now. You see that, right? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? And then we got these 3 Super Shmitas from entering the promised land was the first Jubilee. Okay, do you understand? It's the first Jubilee. That's 3 Super Shmitas. Then we go to this one, which is 3 more to the Jaffa Gate. That's 6. And then you have the period we're in right now, completing the 490 years of the 7th Super Shmita. This has got to be blowing your mind. In the Lord. From the first Jubilee to the final Jubilee, 7 Super Shmitas, 490 years. And we're now in the, the 120th Jubilee since creation, I guess is what we're talking about. But what would this Jubilee be? Now I'm wondering. 490. Oh, man, see, now I got to do the math. The planet depend on it. 490 times 7 equals 3430. That's interesting. So I suppose now if I divide it by 7, well, we know what we're going to get. We're going to get 490. So what if I divide it by 49? What do we get then? 70. Oh, yeah, baby. I just love it when the numbers come together. 70? Are you serious? Oh, that's too good. That's just too good. He takes you where he wants to go. 70, guys. That's the magic number. Because after that, it's trouble and strife. Trouble and strife. You know, it was the 70th